Hey guys, Mizzo Frizzo here, and welcome back to my true first-person shooter tutorial series. This is part 2, where we're going to be creating an animation blueprint and using our mouse input, our camera input, to rotate the spine bones of our character to make them look up and down. But first, we're just going to retarget some animations from the third-person template. So down in your content browser, click Add, and up here, Add Feature Content or Pack, and we're going to add the third-person content pack. Click Add to Project, and you'll see that this has added some new folders down here, Third Person and Characters, I believe, so we can close that. And if we're just going to create a retargeter real quick from our metahumans folder in common, you'll find this IK retargeter RTG metahuman. Click on that, hit Control D to duplicate RTG metahuman 1. Actually, let's just call this RTG many to meta. RTG many to meta. Open that up. Up here at the top right, source IK rig asset is going to be IK mannequin. Source preview mesh will be SKM Quinn. Target IK rig asset, that can stay as IK metahuman. Target preview mesh will be the preview of the body, the skeletal mesh that your metahuman uses as a body. So just to show you very quickly how I found this one, if you open up your metahuman's blueprint, click on the body, you'll see that the skeletal mesh asset it's using is over here. Mine is M medium normal weight body. This denotes male medium normal weight body. So I've used male medium normal weight body preview. Down here, select the left arm, change blend to source to 0. Do the same with the right arm, blend to source to 0. You can save that and close that now. That's not a perfect retargeter. There are some problem with the hands on a couple of the retargeted animations, but we're not going to be using the top half of those animations anyway. In the characters folder, mannequins animation, you'll find these animation blueprints. Quinn's animation blueprint is a child of Manny's, so it contains references to all of the animations that Manny's uses as well. So what we're going to do is right click on Quinn's animation blueprint, and up the top here, retarget animation assets, duplicate and retarget animation assets / blueprints. We're going to select the retargeter we've just created, RTG many to meta, and leave everything else as default, hit retarget. These will copy into the content folder here, so we're just going to create a new folder, call it _main, and another new folder in there called animation, and within animation another folder, we'll just call it we'll just call it the third person anims. Just to stay organized, just to remind ourselves that these are the ones that we retargeted from the third person template. So content, you can actually select these first two should be the animation blueprints. You can select those and delete them, we're not going to use those. Select the remaining ones, drag them into third person anims and move here. Alrighty, so as you can see here, we've got a whole bunch of animations from the third person template retargeted onto a metahuman. These will come in handy when we want to do some lower body animations, because those are pretty tough to make from scratch. So we're going to source our lower body animations from a couple of different sources, the third person template and advanced locomotion system and stuff like that. Make the most of any free assets that we have access to. So the next thing will be to create an animation blueprint. So we'll create it here in the animation folder. But just very quickly, the first thing we want to do before we do that is check what skeleton our character is using. So if you head over to your character's blueprint, and over here the skeletal mesh asset, you can hit browse on that, take you to the skeletal mesh. Open this up, and up the top here you'll see this skeleton button. That will take you to the skeleton asset, and as you can see here, it's the metahuman base skeleton. Not actually going to do anything in here, just wanted to confirm that this was using this skeleton, the metahuman base skeleton. So I'm going to close those down, and in our animation folder, right click, animation, animation blueprint. Now this is the important part, to select the correct skeleton that you want these animations to apply to, and as we just saw, we're using the metahuman base skeleton. Hit create. I'm going to call this animbp_Chandra and open this up. Going to head straight over to the event graph, and we're going to set up some sort of preliminary stuff here that will help us tell the animation blueprint what animations to play at any given time. So the first thing we're going to do is look for a node called event blueprint begin play, just here. We're also going to grab this try get pawn owner here, drag off of that, pull up an isValid node, and also drag off of try get pawn owner and cast to your character's blueprint here. So basically what this has done is the very first thing it's done is just to check if there's a pawn owner. If there is, then cast to your character, and off as BP Chandra we can promote this to a variable, and you can call this character reference. So basically what we've done is at begin play we've checked that there is a character, we've casted to it, and then we've created a reference to it as a variable. So we can access this reference at any time instead of casting over to Chandra. We just cast once, create a reference, and there we go. Now down here off event blueprint update animation, the first thing I'm going to do is pull out this character reference. We're going to be using it quite a lot, and we will duplicate this isValid, and again just checking that there is a character, and if there is, we are then going to run a sequence. We can add a bunch of pins to this because we're going to add a bunch of stuff to here. Basically what this is going to do is every time it updates the animation, it's going to run through this sequence, boom, 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 and update a set of variables that we're going to create to tell our animation blueprint what our character's doing, and therefore what animations it should be playing at any given time. So the first one, we'll drag off character reference here and get the character movement. Sometimes you gotta scroll, yeah, it's at the bottom here, get character movement, and off character movement we can find is falling. This is kind of a built-in function that tells you whether your character is in the air or on the ground. And off of this, promote to variable and rename it is falling question mark, and plug this into the first pin over here. Okay, so that's the first one. For the next few, we're going to need our character's velocity. So drag off the character reference there and find get velocity here. And straight up we can promote that to a variable, call it velocity. Now we're not going to use all of these right away, or maybe some of them not at all, but it is really good practice just to set these up so that might save time later whenever you want to access the character's velocity for whatever reason. You've got this set up here. Next one will be speed, so just drag off get velocity here and find the vector length, and promote that to a variable, call that one speed, and plug that into the next execution pin. Next one, we will do the direction that the character is facing. So we can get actor rotation, and off get actor rotation we can calculate direction. I don't believe these are the same. This will be the one you want with target is anim instance, and this velocity here will come off get velocity. Promote this to a variable, call it direction, plug it in over here. Just gonna try and clean these up as best I can. It might look a bit like some spaghetti code here, but me personally, I mean, you could collapse these to a function like calculate. Calculate is falling, calculate velocity, just to show you. So if I select these three and right click, I can go collapse the function, and I would call that calculate is falling. And that might help to tidy it up. I'm not going to do that. I don't really think it's necessary, as long as these variables that are being set are all aligned over here. It's quite easy to see what's going on. So you can say, where's the direction? There's the direction. How are we calculating that? Go back from there. I believe that's all we'll set for now. Just these four. That's a good practice. This is a good base here. Direction, speed, velocity, and is falling. So from here, we're going to head on over to the anim graph. Okay, so over in the anim graph, and the first thing I'm going to do is just right click up here and add a new state machine. New state machine here. I am going to call this lower body anims, and I'm also going to cache this. So you see here new save cached pose, and I am going to also call this lower body anims. So basically whatever this state machine outputs, it's going to cache it here in this saved cache, and then at any time we can call that. So use cached pose lower body anims. That's calling that cache and outputting whatever it's cached here into wherever you want. This is just to save time later. This is fairly good practice because we're going to be adding a bunch of stuff in front of this output pose. This will just allow us to keep things a little bit cleaner. If you go into lower body anims here, this state machine, and off entry, we're going to add a new state and call it idle/walk/run. You can go into that, and we are just going to grab these blend spaces that are already set up here. I'm going to grab the male one. So just for the record, MF are the female animations and MM are the male ones. And we already have these blend spaces here set up. This blend space requires speed, so you can grab speed, which we set up in the event graph earlier. Align these. Just in case you didn't know, you can highlight several nodes and press Q and it will align them. Open up this blend space. Now, as you can see here, this first animation is walk in place. We don't actually want that to be the case at 0. 0 should be idle, so you're going to click on that one, change the speed to say 50, and over here I'm going to grab idle, drag it out here onto the blend space, and drag it all the way to the left so its speed is 0. If you hold Control, you can move the cursor along the line here to see at what speed the blended animations will look like. I prefer this idle. For the record, we're gonna change all of this later. We're gonna create a new blend space dependent on speed and direction to make directional movement. So this is just a placeholder for now. So our character is animated and can run around. Yeah, so I prefer this idle because if I look at it from this angle and switch between idle and idle, you can just see that this stance is kind of more bladed off. Whoops. I just think it looks better. It looks more relaxed, but also quite stable. Yeah, I just like this stance with the feet. So that's that state machine set up. What we are going to do now is make it so that our mouse input, our camera input, rotates the bones of our character. So if you go over to your character's event graph, grab this camera input section and move it down here so we've got more space, because we're going to add a bunch of stuff to this in the future. And down here, create a new variable, and we're going to call this pitch of type float. If I hold Alt and drag pitch out, it will create this set node off the end here. And what we're going to do is take this action value Y, which is the input of the up and down on the mouse, and we are going to add that to the pitch. So this is accumulative. Every time you move the mouse up and down, it's adding to the pitch. And we're also going to clamp this between the values of -18 and 18. I'll show you why it's -18 and 18 in the anim graph shortly, but basically I got this value because this is 90 degrees divided by 5. I'll show you what I mean in the event graph, in the anim graph now. So actually, while we're in the animation blueprint, head back over to the event graph and drag off of this character reference and get pitch. Whoops. Get pitch and promote this to a variable. Plug this into the next pin here on the sequence. So in case there's any confusion here, when we create this variable in the character's blueprint, so we've created this variable called pitch in the character's blueprint, but we also need to, in the animation blueprint, we are taking this reference to the character, we're getting pitch, which we created over here, and we are promoting it to a new variable also called pitch within the animation blueprint. So this pitch here and this pitch here are actually two different variables, but we are setting this one off of this one, which is over in the character's blueprint, so that we have access to it here in the animation blueprint, if that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Over in the anim graph, okay, we are going to take this cached pose here and drag it way out here because we are going to put a bunch of nodes in between. just right click in some open space here and find, I believe it's called transform modify bone. Transform modify bone right here. We're going to duplicate this a few times, but just before we do, we're going to make some changes. So over here, we don't need translation, so we're going to uncheck this, expose as pin. Rotation's the only one we are going to use. So scale as well, uncheck expose as pin, and alpha, unexpose that as a pin. So you should just have rotation here. And in under rotation mode, we're going to change this to add to existing. Now that that's done, we can select it and duplicate it 4 times, so we have 5 of them. Plug in the cached pose to the first one here and you'll get this interim node, local to component. Plug all of these in. Select all of them and press Q to align them. And I'm just going to bunch these up because I have to. I just have to. I think some of you will know exactly what I'm talking about. Uno momento, por favor. And select the first one. Change bone to modify to spine 1. And the second one, change it to spine 2. So on and so forth, spine 3, spine 4, and spine 5. We're going to find make rotator, and we're going to plug this rotator into all of these. And so this is what I was talking about when I said we're going to clamp these between -18 and 18. 18 times by 5 is 90, as in 90 degrees, and we're rotating 5 bones here. So whatever this pitch is going to be effectively multiplied by 5 because it's modifying 5 of these bones here. Grab pitch and plug it into the roll here. I know this says roll, but the reason we've called this pitch is because we're looking up and down, and that is pitch. And that's pretty much it. We are going to do a couple more things. So just before local to component here, going to move this up and out to the side here. And we are going to look for one called layer blend per bone. Now this is the node that's going to blend from the first spine bone up. It's going to blend in our upper body animations, which we're going to add later. We're going to create from scratch our animations for the hands, and this is going to blend them in. Select layer blend per bone. And here under layer setup, you can bring these down, find branch filters. We're going to add a new branch filter, and the bone name on this branch filter is going to be spine_01. Leave blend depth as 0, and you can check both of these. If we hit compile, now you'll see the top half is just doing an A pose. That's because we haven't added anything to the blend pose here. That's fine for now. We're just setting this up for later. Later on, we're going to add a new state machine, upper body anims, and blend this in here. And eventually, we're even going to blend those upper body anims based on what weapon he's holding, so you can have separate animations of pistol, assault rifle, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, we're going to add a bunch of stuff to this, but for now, that's it. Go back to your character's blueprint, select the body, and over here, animation mode, use animation blueprint, anim class. We're going to select the animation blueprint we've created, which for me is anim BP Chandra. Hit compile and save, and if we hit play, our just need to change the max FPS to 60 so that it doesn't chug. There we go. We do have one other problem here. So if I stand on this intersection here and I rotate, you'll see that he's not actually rotating on the position that he's standing on. So let's fix that real quick. I'm guessing it's just the position of, yeah, so you see he's not in the capsule component here. This is inherited from the first person character, so if we open up the first person character blueprint, we can actually delete this first person mesh right here. We can delete that. I know we cleared it in the last video, but we don't need it. We can delete it. Character mesh 0 here. What happens if we zero that out? We zeroed out, it's correct here, but it's too high. It should be down the bottom here. So we might leave this third value as minus 96, negative 96, and that should do it. He's within the capsule component there. That should be correct. Yeah, he's rotating on the position that he's standing on now. We don't have any turn in place, but you can see we've got running animations. We haven't set up jump or anything yet. We've just got the running. And if I look down a bit and press F8 to eject and have a look at him, you can see that when he looks down, the spine bones are rotating and he's looking down. I'll look up, press F8 to eject, and our character's looking up. The arms look a bit weird, like especially if I look down and I eject. I'll look down a bit more. See, his arms are kind of like penny bay. He's just doing an A pose there. But yeah, like I said, we haven't set up the upper body animations yet. This is just blending from the first spine bone up, and he's just doing an A pose because there's nothing in there. But eventually he will just be holding his gun down in front of him there. That's it. That's it for this one, guys. If you're getting this error here, texture streaming pool over X megabytes budget, what you can do is in the console command here, and you'll have to do this every time you fire up the editor and open your project. If you look for r.streaming.pool size, and depending on your computer's resources, you can set this to a different value. I just set it to 50,000 when I first fire it up. You'll see that that little error message is gone. Yeah, so that's it for today, guys. I think that's some good solid work that we got done very, very quickly. We've set up an animation blueprint. We have retargeted some animations and applied them to our metahuman. We've blended from the spine bone, so it's ready to put in some upper body animations later on. And we have set it up so that our mouse input, our camera input, is rotating the spine bones of our character to make him look up and down. Nice. Guys, please hit like and subscribe, and hit me up in the comments section. Let's get some chat started, because I do try to read and respond to ideally all of the comments on my videos. So yeah, get some chat started, and let me know what you think, or if you have any questions, or if something doesn't work as expected, or hey, if you know a better way to do any of this stuff. Also let me know, because I, like the rest of you, I'm here to learn. I'm still very, very far away from an expert at this stuff, very far away. So yeah, see you in the comments section, and see you in the next video.